Hey everybody, welcome to Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. I am your host, Frank LaRosa, and today we are going to talk about growing your business. It's that easy. I am joined today by Jeremiah Desmarais. He's the CEO of Advisorist, and we are going to talk all things marketing and growing and branding and things like SEO and optimization and many things that most advisors don't have any clue what it all means. And today we're going to talk a little bit about it and how Advisorist is sort of changing the world. For those of you that don't know, they're the fastest e-learning platform for financial advisors and insurance producers. So we got a lot of great things we're going to talk about. So we're going to jump right into it. And I'm going to welcome Jeremiah to the show. How you doing, Jeremiah?
Doing great, Frank. Thanks so much. It's an honor to be here.
No, it's my pleasure. You know, I think that a lot of advisors, that's the whole thing about, well, what's 2021 going to be like, or what's the next year going to be like? And everyone says, well, I want to grow my business by X. And you go, okay, how? And they don't really, well, referrals. Okay, how? You know, and you just go down this rabbit hole of not really understanding. So, this was a sort of a timely conversation. We could talk a little bit about the conference that you're hosting, which I'm going to be a speaker at, which will be awesome. But before we get into that, maybe just give my listeners a little bit of a background on where you come from, and then sort of get into exactly how Advisorist started and what your goals are there.
Sure. So if I was to give a title to the book of where I came from, it'd probably be Keep Making Mistakes. I was... you might hear a little bit of an accent because I was originally born and raised in Montreal, and I came to Chicago at 21 years old and ended up in a small startup of 6 people that was completely self-funded. We had no idea what we were doing, and we ended up stumbling into the insurance industry and trying to figure out a way that we could help agents and advisors generate leads. And back in those days, the only browsers were Netscape. Google had just come out. Ask Jeeves was still a thing, and you could buy clicks on Yahoo for 10 cents, right? Like we're talking like way back in the day. Yeah. There was no Facebook, no LinkedIn, no Twitter, no, like YouTube was really, really early. So we had to get super creative in the ways we were generating leads because we weren't funded. We were just kind of bootstrapping it. So fast forward 7 years later, through making tons of mistakes and everything from like putting ads in trucker bathrooms to fax blasts, we figured out everything that doesn't work. Right. And, because we had such an amazing team, we were able to get to about 250,000 consumer inquiries every single month is where we hit. And that company ended up getting sold to a private equity group for well over $1 billion. Then I, went into I was asked to go help run marketing for an insurance CRM solution. And we were able to cut the marketing by $1 million and increase revenue by $26 million in 9 months using the same digital marketing principles. And then that was kind of the genesis for me, Frank, about realizing, hey, we're able to help small and large companies succeed. Why don't we go straight to the agents and the advisors and give them the tools that I discovered and only give them the best stuff that works and none of the stuff that might seem like is really popular because a lot of, blogs are talking about it or a lot of experts talk about it, but really doesn't have a lot of results in the real world.
So no truck stop signs.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that anymore. And no fax press for sure. So what we decided to do is create a company whose sole purpose in life is to solve the number one issue advisors have, and that is getting qualified appointments onto their calendar. We live, eat, and breathe that every single day. Our team is based in several different countries. We're entirely virtual. And we have some amazing A players on our team. Some are advisors themselves that became coaches to teach advisors the success they had. Like we got one advisor who just came on as a coach using one of the techniques on LinkedIn, which I'm happy to actually share with everybody on your show today. Just give it away. But he from October 2020 was one of his worst years ever. In fact, his family office almost closed. Because of COVID, they didn't know how to do, they were doing seminars before and they had to stop, and they didn't know how to do webinars. And so they used a LinkedIn approach that we taught them. And within 3 months, Frank, they went from almost zero in closing to 450,000 in commissions using a simple technique that they were able to do in about an hour a day. And so what we're passionate about is all killer, no filler content, right? So I'm sure, you or your listeners have gone to events or listened, and, people talk high strategy, big ethereal concepts, ivory tower. But at the end of the day, I think most advisors just want to know, what should I do today? What's my game plan? What should I try for the next 30 days and be consistent with? And that's what we do at Advisors. We've helped over 100,000 advisors in 51 countries generate 300 million in commissions and fees. And just on one platform alone, LinkedIn, we've helped advisors set up 10,000 virtual meetings. And we stopped counting after 10,000, but I think it's up to 14,000 now. But that's what we love to do. We love to help advisors.
Yeah, that would be that's a great exercise for an advisor to go through. A lot of firms out there, only when they talk about social media, they're only really referring to LinkedIn. Like, wirehouse firms, for instance, Merrill and Morgan Stanley, limit, and limit would be a soft way of putting don't allow anything on any other platform other than LinkedIn. So, like, what are you going to do? You need to figure out how to get to that audience. So that's very interesting. So the educational part of Advisorist, you take them through basically all of these tactics, and then is it a coaching program? You're saying a coach, so maybe just tell me a little bit about how it actually works. So they hire a coach, they get their coach, they work with them on their brand, and then they execute on those things. Does the advisor have to do that, or is it your team that they're hiring that goes and does that for them?
Great question. So I'll simplify it. There's 3 ways people engage with us.
I'm asking these questions because I'm right now going, shit, I could use that. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, we'd love to help you, Frank. So there's 3 ways that we engage. Number 1 is do it yourself. So we have a on-demand learning experience. Think masterclass for the advisor, right? So masterclass is a great platform. You learn from celebrities. In Advisorist, it's masterclass, but you learn from people in the trenches that are actually succeeding in disciplines of sales, marketing, branding, and strategy, niche development, all the things that move the needle. We are very focused on moving the needle for advisors. Like, if you come in and you learn something, we want you to apply it and be able to create a win in less than 30 days, most of the times less than 7 days. So we don't have a lot of fluff in our platform. So number 1 is do it yourself. You can access our Advisorist Max membership. That's a monthly program. And number 2 would be done with you. So this is for advisors who are ready for the next step, where they tap into a group coaching environment where they learn and grow following a proven framework around various disciplines. For example, one of our core programs is called the Shift LinkedIn Accelerator. There, you're part of a group of people who are smashing it on LinkedIn and creating records. And we do everything from niche development, your personal brand, getting you on the media, and helping you generate that constant flow of appointments while giving you 100 days back a year. We have another program that was modeled after these 2 advisors that were totally ramen eating broke at 31 and 32 years old, respectively. It's a married couple. They discovered a way to turn YouTube into a constant source of traffic, but pre-qualified appointments, where they're getting 50 appointments a month on their calendar and doing $50K a month in just commissions on a budget of $500 a month. No ad spend, no assistance, no days in front of the computer. And they really just work. They only create videos once a month. And we teach how to install that. We have other programs coming down the road related to cryptocurrencies and how to make that part of your practice and wealth management. But that's done with you. And then the last one is boutique level, done for you. So once in a while, if somebody we feel is truly self-disciplined and is serious about growth, we will entertain an application from them to do services. But we do that on a very select basis, and they must graduate different levels before we'll even agree to do that.
Awesome. That would be, I'd love to see that. So let's talk about your free giveaway. So I heard free, and I didn't forget about that.
Let's do that, guys.
Well,
let's
get an example of this. So this LinkedIn strategy, and this would be great because you know, it would be great for my listeners that are, you know, it's like getting something for, you know, they didn't expect it, and now they're going to get something that's going to really be value added for being part of this this community of listeners that we have. So I'm dying to hear this idea.
Let's dive into it. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about compliance first.
Sure.
And I think that's the number one barrier that I want to help your listeners lower right now, is to keep an open mind. Here's the thing. The reason why most compliance department do blanket, you know, you can't do this, is obviously they're scared that you're going to make promissory statements about market returns, or you make promissory statements about wealth protection. And we know we don't ever teach any of that. So right off the bat, you're fine. The second area that's a big no-no is talking about products, where, you know, you're not supposed to mention the name of products or even make a recommendation of a product. Boom, don't worry about that, because we don't teach that at all. In fact, those techniques do not even work. So we don't teach them at all. The third thing that people don't want, or carriers, BDs don't want, is they don't want you posting content that hasn't been approved. And I got to tell you, that's one of the big lies, Frank, of LinkedIn, is that by posting relevant content, in quotation mark, in air quotes, right?
Yeah.
That you're going to get leads. And that doesn't work that way. There's this whole ethereal ivory tower crew that just talks about, you know, exposure and engagement and all this. So I'll tell you a story, right? There's this guy on LinkedIn. He's a financial advisor, and he posts almost every single day. He has engaging videos. He has funny stories. He has like the nice videos where, you know, he had the emojis and it's like quick cuts and it's very engaging, right? Not boring stuff. And he gets anywhere from 50 to 150 likes every post. And he gets at least 60 comments, which is awesome. And it's super rare in the financial and insurance space to see that. So for us, we're on the bleeding edge. We don't think we know everything, but we study everything. So we reach out to somebody like that. And I personally reached out to him. I said, man, you are really doing well. How's it working out for you, man? All these posts I see, you must be like killing it. He's like, to be honest, I haven't got any business. And that was 6 months, Frank, of effort. Like, this guy's editing his videos. This guy's doing all this work to get exposure. So what he's doing is collecting fake internet points that are not leading to results on his calendar, right? So,
right.
So right there, those are the three areas that BDs have a problem with. And what I'm happy to say is, because of lockdown and the pandemic, a lot of them are opening their doors now, being like, okay, we're going to allow a lot of other things now. So Facebook's opened up, Twitter's opened up, emails opened up. So we got that out of the way, right? So hopefully most of your listeners now have an open mind. And by the way, we've worked with practically every single BD and carrier out there. The only one that this does not work with is Primerica. They simply they're run by attorneys now. They don't let anybody do anything on LinkedIn unless it's run by an attorney. So if you're with Primerica, this is not for you.
Yeah.
But for everybody else, we've gone through every single compliance department. And here's the thing, is that if you approach people just like a human being in a coffee shop, and you don't vomit product or benefits or returns, you're going to be fine. Like, you're going to be fine. And that's really just what compliance departments don't want to see. Okay, let's move on from compliance. Let's jump into the tactic. The best strategy that's winning right now is step one: choose a niche to target. Choose a niche to target. Now, number one, a niche is not 55 and over with $500,000 of assets under management. That is not a niche, right? And we know that that's what everybody says.
It's a wish list.
That's a wish list, yeah. A niche is a tribe. A niche is somebody who has a defined set of criteria that you can speak to. And really, once you find your niche, you can sell in spite of yourself, because you can speak the language that they speak. Like, Frank, you're a very talented business professional, and I'm sure you could take your talents to any vertical. But when you have a show that's called Advisor Talk, and you talk about things like RIAs and fees and points and broker dealers, all of a sudden your listeners are like, this guy knows my world. This is my guy, right? You've niched yourself in the financial services and insurance space. So the same way you've done that, Frank, very successfully, I might add, you want to look at what niches exist out there. Now, there's the top three that are really performing well on LinkedIn are anybody that's in the C-suite. So CEO, CMO, CTO, CIO, people with the C titles. Number 2 is small business owners with employees over 50. And number 3 would be HR professionals. HR professionals are kind of like a honeypot because they hold the keys to entire companies. And one technique that some students of ours are doing is connecting intentionally with HR professionals and then offering to do complimentary virtual financial wellness workshops to all their employees, because there's a ream of data out there. If any of you involved in anything related to 401ks, there's some amazing studies out there that show how it's well over 40% of an employee's time is spent thinking about their own financial health, which means that they take time away from the employer. And simply offering this financial education is a way to show the employer that they care about their employees. It helps with retention, and it gives you a source of never-ending leads. We had one guy do this. He reached out to the CEO of a company. He got him on a 15-minute call just to network and share ideas. And that led to him doing a webinar to his 300 employees, of whom he converted, he didn't disclose the amount, but he converted so many that it's going to be about a $200,000 payday, commissions, not premium, not assets, but commissions and fees over to him. And he's doing everything from rollovers, annuities, life insurance for every single one of those employees. And basically he got that for free. So that's one technique. Reach out to HR professionals, offer to do these complimentary workshops. But here's the secret, is do it at scale. Don't just send out 1 or 2 a day. Be disciplined. Do like 20 a day, 20 new connections. And once they agree to connect with you, you send out a very thoughtful message. And the first call to action should only be 15 minutes long. Like, hey, would you be open? And here's another one. Would you be open to a 12-minute chat? I'd love to learn about what your company's doing. See if there's ways we can network with each other. We actually have a program we're rolling out. I think it might be a good fit, like something really low-key micro commitment. Now, if you're going after the business owner, so that's the second category we talked about. If you're going after the business owner, you want to approach it like a power networker. And I think there's probably every single one of your listeners would love to be seen as an authority in the business community in which they operate.
Yeah, 100%. Right? Yep.
Nobody wants to be seen as just another advisor. Nobody wants to be seen as that person begging for leads. Nobody wants to be seen as that person just grinding it out, the cold calling mentality. Mm-hmm. So what you have to do is you elevate your perspective that you're not just an advisor, you're a power connector in your local community. Robert Kiyosaki said a great quote that always stuck with me, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says, poor people work for a living. Rich people build networks. And that always stuck with me. And if you think, Frank, like, all the best deals that maybe you and I have ever done, didn't they come from like a powerful network? Yep. Like being able to put, like you and I were connected through a network, right? The Advisor Hub network. And that's how we got connected with each other. So building a network like that is like creating an asset in your business and for your own life that nobody can ever take away from you, right? If this is just chapter 1 of your life or chapter 71, I don't know which chapter this career has fallen in your life, but having a powerful network is like an enduring asset that you own and nobody can take away. It's your relationships, it's your credibility. So once advisors kind of like get that and they get out of the mindset, I didn't get somebody with $500,000 of assets on my calendar today, the world opens up, and really it comes from a place of abundance and gratitude. Right. Now, I don't know about you, Frank, but I'm somebody, I practice daily gratitude. I write down every day things I'm grateful for, and it allows me to show up and be okay to give away things that most people charge for. Because I know that the more that I give away, the more that's going to come back. That's not the reason I do it, but I know it just weirdly happens that way, right? Right. So if an advisor comes to a conversation and approaches a business owner, so here's a great line that's working right now, and it's perfect for the beginning of the year, right? So Frank, let's say I connect with you, right? Within 2 days, I want to fire a message over to you, and I want to say something like, hey, Frank, it's so good to connect the other day. I'm working on a New Year's resolution to be a better connector in my local business community. Would you be up for a 12-minute virtual coffee so we can just learn about each other's businesses and see how we can help each other? That's it.
Yeah.
You see how innocent that is?
Yep. Well,
And
I think
then,
that a lot of advisors make the mistake of, they're asking essentially they're asking clients to give them money, right? So they're asking someone to do something for them. Give me. And this approach, which is really the approach of anybody that's really, really, really successful, you find out that the minute they went from things being about them to how can they help others, right? That's when their businesses took off. When they changed that mindset to let me be the one that goes out and helps people. I don't know what I'm going to get in return, but all I know is if I help people, sort of your point, the more people you help, the higher the probability you're going to get something positive back. It's just sort of the law of the universe that I firmly believe in as well, in abundance and all that. So that's a great idea.
And that's to your credit, Frank. Thank you for sharing. The other thing. So just to finish, I want to close the loop for all your listeners, right? For that, when you show up on the call, the way that the call goes is very structured. It's, hey, look, I'm really grateful you spent a few minutes with me. By the way, I always try to do it on a video, because you actually, like 93% of human communication is tonality and physiology. So you really want to be seen on camera connecting with people. It's infinitely more effective than a phone. So just want to give you that recommendation. We have a whole training on how to have effective Zoom meetings as well that members can take advantage of as well on our website. Check our blog post, guys. We've got tons of like scripts and stuff. You can even go and just swipe, copy, paste, and use. Lots of free resources there. So once you get on the meeting with somebody, make it about them. So Frank, if you were the business owner and I was the advisor, I'd say, Frank, thanks so much. I'm really grateful you took a few minutes. I know we're both really busy. I'd just like to dive in. Is that okay with you? Yeah, sounds great. Awesome. Okay. Well, hey man, I see behind you got looks like a little bulldog on your desk. What's that all about? You love bulldogs?
Right. Yes, I do.
Right. Like, by the way, that is my favorite dog as well. I don't have one, but I love bulldogs. And so I'd find something interesting about you, try to make a personal connection. I'd say, that's great. So I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that you're the CEO of Advisor Talk. What made you start that? Right? Like, not what do you do, but what made you start it? Right. And then what's your passion, right? Another question is, what's your real passion here? And then here's my third one, which is really the one where I want to get to, is what's a great prospect for you? Because I'm doing 5 of these calls a day, and I bet you there's going to be somebody I'm going to talk to or have talked to that I could connect you with. And that's really the format. And then at the end, of course, Frank, after I spent all this time focusing on you, at the very, towards the end, naturally, what's the business owner going to ask me?
Yeah, right. How can I help you?
Hey man, what are you doing, Jeremiah? Right? Like, how can I help you? What's a good lead for you? Say, well, what I do is, and then you got to have a lay down unique sales proposition that makes that person want to lean in. Like, what I do is I help successful business owners that have accumulated over $500,000 in their retirement to structure it in such a way using an obscure 1941 IRS tax law that very few people know, to avoid paying taxes ever again in retirement. And then I just shut up. And then if there's an interest, you're going to say, well, how is that? Well, I really didn't want to get into that in this call, Frank, because I really just wanted to be about networking. But if you're interested in that, we can set up another call and I can be happy to show you how to do that. So we've got an advisor who's doing that now. And in fact, his whole program is laid out in one of our coaching programs. He's doing 3 calls a day and with business owners. And of those, on average, 1 to 2 is booking into a step 2 call, just using that approach. Wow. But you got to have the unique sales proposition and you have the structure, and you're really coming from a place of networking. He's up $500,000 a year since he implemented that strategy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I hope everybody was taking notes. I know I was taking notes, so that'll be great. And you can always go back and listen to this call or watch it on YouTube. It'd be great. So the last thing as we get towards the end of the call, tell me a little bit about this. Sort of how we came together. This event that you're holding, this virtual conference. It seems I'm excited to be part of it. but tell the listeners what it's really all about, so that they can make sure they can get in on it and not miss out on the unbelievable content that I've learned that's going to be on there. So what's this all about?
Yeah, thanks. So, it's called Virtual FA Summit. Virtualfasummit.com is the domain. So if you guys are on your phones or you're on your tablet right now, hop over to virtualfasummit.com. If we haven't started the summit yet, you can still grab a ticket absolutely free. Now, here's the reason why it's free. It's a give back between Advisorist and Broadridge Advisor Solutions. So many of you are familiar with Broadridge. They power 40,000 advisor websites. They have incredible data. And it was kind of funny, Frank, because at the beginning of the pandemic, literally 2 weeks after lockdown was announced nationally, I called my buddy, Kevin Darlington, who's the general manager of Broadridge. And I said, Kevin, our clients are in the dark right now. And I've been beating the drum of digital marketing and virtual sales for years. I published a book on it called Shift, which became a #1 bestseller. And it was all about digital marketing, but I published it like 4 years ago. You can get it on Amazon. And I said, Kevin, this is the time that this industry is being forced to go into everything that Shift taught, but being forced to do it. The industry is usually like 5 years behind everyone else, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's been doing virtual meetings for years.
Yep.
So I said, now is the time. We got to do something to help advisors. What should we do? I said, why don't we do a summit? We bring together all the advisors who are just smashing records right now, and that the lockdown does not affect. And let's bring in some thought leaders who are sharing the big strategies, and we'll put them together into a power pack day where you're going to get some insight, but also tactical how-tos. And we did that first summit, and we thought 1,000 people would show up, Frank. We said, if we get 1,000 advisors, that would be amazing. Frank, we were so humbled that 6,110 advisors showed up to learn from each other. And we did this as a give back. As a result, we took any revenue that was generated from different, ads and sponsors or whatever, and we donated it. We were able to feed 50,000 meals to families that were affected by the pandemic. That's one of my personal values, is to be a force for good in the world. It's the #1 value of Advisorist, to be a force for good. And so some of the people that you're going to be learning from, like I'm literally on the page, I'm just going to read a few things. You'll learn from Benjamin Brandt, who has one of the top 10 podcasts in the world around retirement planning. And he's going to break down how he's bringing in $60 million of AUM a year while taking 212 days off with a unique system. You're going to hear from Jason Smith from C2P, how his advisors are getting 7-figure clients in Silicon Valley, even though they're in the heart of the Midwest. You're going to learn from that couple, the Brits, Carmen and Darius, and how they get 56 appointments a month from a free 3-step YouTube funnel. We're going to learn from Chris, who 5x'd his business simply using LinkedIn. And by the way, guys, I don't want you to think this is a big old bait and switch where we have people who show up and it's all a big ad. We don't do any of that. There's no selling during the day. We've told everybody, you're not to sell anything. You have to bring the goods and teach us things we can use right away. But we also understand, Frank, that with a lot of abundance comes other set of problems. So we also look at the advisor as a whole. We're going to have experts on how to nail your morning routine so you actually have a successful day. You're going to learn sales objection techniques, because when you get people on the line, you're going to get some objections. How do you overcome that? We're also going to have an expert on the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities, because if you don't know how to build or manage a virtual team and manage all these distinct personalities, it's hard enough in person, let alone virtually.
Yeah.
Then you're just going to frustrate yourself. So our mission is to double the business of 10,000 advisors and give them 100 days back a year. And we've structured everything that day. It's the biggest value event of the year. We're so grateful that you're a part of it. And if people want to get a ticket for a limited time, it's free. You just go to virtualfasummit.com. And
what's the date?
It's Wednesday, February the 10th, 2021. And look, if you listen to this and you're like, listen to this on February 11th, and like we already had the summit, there's a good chance we're going to have some recordings there. So you're always welcome to go to virtualfasummit.com and look at some of the recordings or opt in, or maybe you can, get the recordings after. but it's almost like a $20,000 mastermind that's going to be given that day. I mean, you're going to be speaking, Michael Kitsis, which everybody, follows. And I think I'm a huge fan of him. We've got Bill Cates, who's a Hall of Fame speaker, creating on how to create a radically relevant business. We've got Ed Slott, industry legend. We got Tom Hagna. We've got the number one guy at Facebook, who's going to tell us how consumers are engaging with financial conversations on the Facebook platform. We've got Mike Foy from JD Power and Associates. So, I mean, in addition to frontline examples, you're going to get the big strategies, so you know what to do in 2021 that works.
Wow, this is a perfect time for that, because I think a lot of advisors right now are really trying to figure out what their strategy is going forward. Because to your point, before the pandemic, I mean, advisors weren't even really allowed to even use YouTube, and not YouTube, but Zoom calls and meet with clients, and it's basically forced the hands of these firms to allow them to do that. So it's been a struggle to figure out. Okay, so now I'm allowed to use Zoom. Now what? Like, how do I turn this into revenue and grow my business? So this was awesome. This is I think it's a perfect time to do this. I commend you for it. As you're reading through the list, I'm going, oh, I'll be listening to that. I'll be listening to that. I'll be listening to that. In addition to me speaking, but those are some great areas. And I agree. I think that a lot of people tend to forget. They talk about the advisor's growth of their business, but what they don't realize is there's some personal things that you have to include in that in order for an advisor to grow their business, right? So the morning routine is one that I candidly struggle with all the time. I have a morning routine, but it can be more efficient than it is, and so to allow me to be more productive. But those are things that just aren't talked about in the business, and so I'm glad somebody's doing it, which is awesome. But Jeremiah, listen, that was awesome. I think that was a lot of information. My listeners, I hope y'all took a lot of notes, because that was some real practical, tactical information that you can use to make some money and grow your business. So I know I got a lot out of this call just on that LinkedIn strategy. Was awesome. But Jeremiah, I'm looking forward to the event, speaking at the event, and really just giving back, right? Giving back some of the things that I know and helping your listeners and your participants. And but this is awesome. I appreciate you spending the time telling us about Advisorist and the event. And again, everybody, you need to make sure that you get your ticket. Go to virtualfasummit.com. It's February 10th. We look forward to seeing everybody there. Jeremy, have a great day. Make it successful.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching Advisor Talk with Frank LaRosa. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out some of our other episodes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you back here next week.